Now, kids who test positive for COVID-19 will spend less time out of the classroom under this new state guidance.
Yeah, so this is new coming into the newsroom a little while ago. Students can go back to school after 5 days as long as they are asymptomatic or their symptoms start to improve. News 8's Demi Johnson joining us now live in our newsroom with more on the updated policy. Demi.
Yeah, some students are already back at school today, with many districts heading back tomorrow, some with mask mandates in place and others without. The state's updated guidance when it comes to the quarantine policy is the same for every student who tests positive, regardless of their school's mask policy.
The CDC states that positive individuals who do not have symptoms or whose symptoms are resolving can leave isolation after 5 days, so long as they continue to mask for 5 additional days to reduce their chance of infecting others.
That guidance, shared by state health officials last week, is now the same rules kids in Indiana schools will follow. The update allows students who test positive for COVID-19 to go back to school after 5 days, as long as they aren't showing symptoms. Once they're back in the building, they're required to wear a mask at all times, and if they can't, they'll have to stay home for the full 10 days. That policy is the same for schools with and without mask mandates. There are different rules for schools without mask policies when it comes to close contacts. Under the new guidance, students in schools with mask mandates can stay in the classroom even if they're exposed to someone with COVID-19, as long as they're not showing symptoms. The state health department says those students should get tested at least 5 days after the exposure. If the child develops symptoms, they'll need to stay home until they test negative. For schools without mask mandates, the rules vary depending on vaccination status. Students who are exposed to the virus and are asymptomatic can only stay in a school without a mask policy if that student is fully vaccinated. Unvaccinated or partially vaccinated students will need to stay home for 5 days after exposure. If they're not showing symptoms, they can go back on the 6th day, but will have to wear a mask. The Indiana State Department of Health recommends students and staff wear masks in schools, but so far state health officials have made no mention of a statewide mask mandate for schools. Right now, we know IPS and Hamilton Southeastern schools have mask mandates, while Westfield, Washington does not. Live in the newsroom, Demi Johnson, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.